Today I'm going to be discussing the worst mascots in video game history.
Hello, everybody! How's it going, Jeff?
How'd you get here, Grumpy?
The front door. Your wife let me in. And boy, is she hot!
Thanks, man. Everyone, this is Grumpy from the Grumpy Munchkins comedy and gaming channel. Such a great channel. It's an honor to have you here, man.
Thanks. I love yours too. Yeah, I suppose my channel is funny to people who aren't easily offended. Anyways, I heard you're covering worst mascots today, and because I'm a terrible mascot, I figured I should be here.
Well, since you're here, let's do this thing.
Number 10.
Do you remember Knack? That was supposed to be like a system seller for the PlayStation 4 when it debuted. And it came out and I was like, this looks like a PlayStation 3 game. Who the hell would buy this?
What the hell is that thing? If that monstrosity is number 10, I can't wait to see what number 1 is.
So basically, Knack is just a bunch of trash put together, and as you defeat enemies, he gets bigger from the parts of them getting attached to him. It's an interesting concept, but it doesn't really play out that well.
That character can literally be described by the sum of its parts. It's garbage!
Yeah, I would agree with that, but Sony didn't really get the memo, because they're making a sequel. They announced it at E3 this year. Who's in charge of the decision-making there?
I'd rather have my eyes glued shut than play that game. In fact, I'm sick of looking at him. Please, can we move on?
Number 9.
Alright, number 9! Parappa the Rappa. What a super lame hipster dog thing. I never thought I'd be turned off by a doggy style. Get it? Doggy style?
Yeah, I get it.
Doggy style?
Parappa the Rappa was a pretty fun game to play, but it was a very interesting character design where it was like a 2D box cutout of a dog, and the color coordination was odd on it. I don't know.
You know, I think his style sucks because of the color coordination. Now, if his hat were red and his skin were orange, he'd be a masterpiece!
Masterpiece is something, yeah.
Number 8.
Possum, Possum kicks Dr. Machino's butt. I'm awesome!
Number 8 is Awesome Possum. Many of you guys out there probably never even heard of this guy, and it's probably a good thing. This was one of the worst character designs I've ever seen in my life, and it was a clear ripoff of Sonic the Hedgehog, but instead of defeating enemies that are robots, you go around collecting trash.
Yeah, he's a freaking Jar Jar Binks of the video game world. Misa thinks it sucks a big fat
Alright, that's enough. Let's keep it kid-friendly. This is a kid-friendly show here, Grumpy. Anyway, yeah, Awesome Possum was anything but awesome.
Number 7.
Number 7, Booger Man. Yeah, that's about right. He looks like a vagrant who'd eat his own boogers. I see guys like this all the time in New York City. At least they never go hungry.
He is digging and eating.
More time!
That's disgusting, dude. I actually did a review on this game a while back.
And?
It was awful.
Well, I can see why. He's as revolting as his weaponized nose poop.
Yeah, he's pretty revolting to look at, but it's not even that. The environments in the game were so bland, and he blended in with the background so much that you couldn't even tell what was coming at you and what was in the background. It was a very frustrating game to play.
Number 6.
Number 6 is Captain Novolin on the Super Nintendo. You would think this was some dental company's sorry excuse to sell Novocaine to kids, but actually no, it's about teaching kids how to use their diabetic supplies properly.
If Duke Nukem and a Ninja Turtle had a baby, you would have Captain Novolin.
I can't really argue with that, Grumpy, although I'd probably rather play that game because that sounds way more fun than Captain Novolin.
How does this crap even make it past the concept stage?
I have no idea. It was back in the day when these companies were trying out video games as a edutainment kind of software where you could teach kids stuff, and it didn't even work with Mario games, so I don't know why companies tried it without Mario.
Number 5.
Number 5 is Arrow the Acrobat and Zero the Kamikaze Squirrel.
That's 2 mascots, Jeff.
Well, yeah, but they were both in the same game, Arrow the Acrobat, and then Zero got his own spin-off game for some reason.
They should have only done one game with those 2 sucky mascots, because only one game would have suffered then. Well, at least they can suck together, and by the looks of it, they probably do.
This was during a time in the mid-90s where companies thought that they could create a mascot out of any animal that was on this planet because Sonic the Hedgehog worked.
Number 4.
Number 4! Plop, plock, plock, pleep, ploop, whatever. Yeah, it sounds like something I left in your toilet before I came in here. I didn't flush, by the way. Oh, and I left the seat up. Sorry, Jeff. Did the name ruin potential sales?
It suffered from poor marketing, a terrible name, And people missed out on a really quality experience. You throw your body parts to attack the enemies and get them back, like a boomerang almost. It's a lot of fun, and people should definitely check it out. Even though the actual main character is pretty terrible for that game.
Yeah, Nintendo. They can make one hell of a game, but unfortunately they have no idea how to market or run a company.
Yeah, exactly. Just like the sequel to the Wii was called the Wii U instead of the Wii 2. It was so confusing to the consumer. People had no idea what they were even buying into.
Number 3.
Number 3 is Johnny Turbo.
Johnny Turbo? What game is he from?
Actually, he wasn't even in a game. He was a mascot created to help sell the TurboGrafx 16 when it came out. He was in a bunch of comics. I think they actually planned a game with him, but it failed so much that they had to scrap the idea.
No wonder, he doesn't even look like a hero. He looks more like a fat 40-year-old virgin on his way to Comic-Con dressed as G.I. Joe.
Very true, but I don't know if Bonk is much better.
Number 2.
Number 2, Yo Noid from Domino's. I love pizza. They made a game with him?
Oh yeah, a crazed psychopath with the last name of Noid held up a Domino's and then removed himself from this planet. He was a little bit on the crazy side of things.
He looks like an uncool version of Filthy Frank when Filthy Frank is in his pink costume. Sans the years though.
Yeah, and Domino's actually hasn't even gone back to using him as a mascot ever since then. What could possibly go wrong?
I guess that N on his chest was prophetic. The Noid has been neutralized.
Honorable mentions.
Alright, now before we get to number 1, there's a few honorable mentions that I want to talk about here, just so people don't think we forgot about them. Starting off with Bubsy. Bubsy is not only an awful mascot, but his games are absolutely atrocious. If any of you have had the displeasure of playing these, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Accolade announced that they're making another Bubsy game. Why? Nobody is asking for this. In fact, they're asking for the complete opposite. Just forget about Bubsy. It failed at the beginning for good reason, and it's not going to be successful going forward. And if it is, God help us all. Because if there's a good Bubsy game, I don't know what's going to happen to the world of gaming. Other honorable mentions, Gex. He's like a copy of James Bond, but he's a gecko. I don't know what people saw in that. And then a couple corporate sponsors like Chester Cheetah. He was like the Cheetos guy, and for some reason they thought it would be a good idea to put him in video games. And it wasn't. Same thing with Cool Spot for 7-Up. He was so terrible. He had a game back in the day for Super Nintendo and Genesis, and it was awful as well. These corporations are trying to find a way to advertise their product by creating their mascot in putting him into a video game and hoping that it will subliminally sell these things to kids. It's not working. It never has and it never will.
Those mascots are all terrible at being terrible. They even suck at failing.
Number 1.
And the number 1 worst mascot of all time is... Can we get a drum roll?
Me, Grumps from the Grumpy Munchkins.
Not you, Grumps. Not you.
I would like to thank the Academy and thank all my fans and thank... What?
It's Izzy. And besides, you were never in a video game.
What? Not me? Rub it in, why don't you, Jeff? Izzy? You mean that dude that looks like a sperm?
Used to. They actually updated him into a new version because there were so many complaints before the Olympics even happened back then.
People really have too much free time. You delicate snowflakes out there, you really need to find a hobby. How about diving with sharks in Australia? Or camping in the Middle East? I hear Iran is nice this time of year. Oh no! How about freebase rock climbing Mount Everest in shorts and a t-shirt? That sounds like fun. Go for it!
He was so hated by the public that by the time the 96 Olympics even came around, he wasn't even there. Nobody even wanted Izzy around. I'd say it's a pretty terrible mascot if people confuse you for a sperm.
You know, self-gratification improves sperm quality. If that's the case, I must have super sperm! Bum, 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 bum.
That's very interesting, Grumpy. I'm sure our audience out there will appreciate that information. Anyways, that's it for our top 10 of worst mascots in video game history. What do you guys think out there? Are there any that we missed? Let me know in the comment section below. And I also want to give a quick thanks to Grumpy for stopping by. His channel is absolutely hysterical, guys, and if you haven't checked out Grumpy Munchkins, please do. You won't regret it. Thanks so much for coming, Grumpy, and now get out of my house before I call the cops on you.
Where's that hot wife of yours anyways? Hey, baby! You shouldn't wear dresses around a guy who's only a couple feet tall. Woo!